What's going on, you cryptophiliacs? This is Steve from AltCoin Buzz, and like it or love it, we're here today to talk about a cryptocurrency that we are fans of. So it's been a while since we've talked about Quantstamp, and if this is your first time hearing about it, stay tuned because you guys are about to learn a little bit about what that project's all about. If you've heard us talk about it before, we've probably pointed out a few other better buying opportunities, but we still believe for the long-term investment that Quantstamp has a lot to offer, and going into 2018, their roadmap predicts a very healthy future, and these guys are very active and highly intelligent. So it's been an interesting day, relatively low activity on the market. Things have been steady for once. Cross your fingers, and let's dive in. Let's go find Quantstamp, and let's take a look at what it's been up to. So this is a coin that's only been on the market for a couple months. And they had their ICO and they launched, and then now it's into the business development phase. So they still have a mid-level market cap at just over $100 million, and they have a circulating supply. It's about 2/3 of their total supply. So just under 1 billion coins of Quantstamp, QSP, is going to be in total circulation. So when we look at their charts, what I want to point out is not only are these guys going to be a solid long-term investment, and I think 2018, early 2018, when we take a look at their roadmap, will give you an indication that there should be a lot of activity and interest coming up in this coin and in this project here in the near future. Right after launch, these guys skyrocketed, they fell back down, and they became a really strong buying opportunity between the 10 and 12 cent range. But then they've risen and found a new home, and it seems like somewhere between 15 and 20 cents is their new happy medium. And this is before they've really even launched any testable part of their product. So right now it's still just a white paper and a very active team. And that means you're getting in at the ground floor if you guys also believe that this is a long-term investment. Now I got to tell you, this isn't really financial advice. This is me personally believing in the project and seeing a lot of potential, and a lot of the people on our team agreeing. Even if you're looking at the Satoshis here, still a good value at getting in on these guys. There's only a few markets you could pick them up on, so Binance is probably going to be the more popular one. Qcoin is also available, as well as Ether Delta. Gate.io, I've never used it. Same with Huobi. So if you guys are on those, feel free to pick it up on there. But Binance and Qcoin and Ether Delta are probably going to be your most likely ones. If you have never used Ether Delta before, Shaylin had done a video on that a couple weeks ago. So check out our channel on how to use Ether Delta, because that's a smart contract trading system. So these guys here, let's take a quick look at their social. You can see they've got a big, strong team, very active. This team has some MIT graduates, Cornell graduates, you name it. These guys are like some really top-notch people. A lot of PhDs and doctorate level education in their core team. So these guys are definitely intelligent and are pulling together. So let's dive in and take a look at what they are. Let's go back up to the top of the screen. Okay. So these guys are looking at securing the space, right? So you've got all these Ethereum contracts, the smart contracts, all these ERC20 tokens. And what Quantstamp's looking to do is come in and put their stamp of approval on things and create basically an internet type of security for the smart contract space to make all of your transactions in your wallets a safer place. That should be big news for you guys. So Jeff's got his, basically he's got his master's degree. He didn't do his capstone course, or didn't finish his capstone course yet. And that's in cybersecurity. I've taken some cybersecurity classes through the University of Washington. So I have at least what I'd call an elementary knowledge, if you consider master's level courses to be an elementary knowledge. But I'd say that just forms a healthy respect for it. So check these guys out on Twitter. Let's go check them out. It's at Quantstamp with a capital Q. Don't fall into the wrong names there and following some fake accounts, because that could lead to some big trouble, aka some of the most recent news and allegations that have come up in cryptocurrency in the last week. So these guys are looking at creating a scalable proof of audit. So basically meaning that as the market grows, these guys will be able to keep up with it. And it's something that if you were, let's say you were looking to launch your own ICO and you wanted to make sure that your smart contract system wasn't hackable so that nobody could steal your ICO funds and rip off your wallet or create a stir, like what's set back Electroneum so far is that they had that security threat right after their ICO, and they didn't issue the ICO tokens right away, and it created really a sour taste in people's mouth. I still hold my Electronium, and I believe Jeff does too. But that's a project I think I'm holding out there on the long term as well, because Richard Ells on the Electronium team's really just shown a lot of stand-up character and shown that their team's hard at work. But this team here, equally hard at work, and very, very intelligent in our opinion. So these guys have been allied with some other partners in the ICO space as well as the financial industry. Now their founder, they have two founders. They've got Stephen Stewart and Richard Ma. I don't think that Richard Ma is the same. I don't think he's related to Jack Ma, so don't get too excited. I could be wrong on that though. Maybe he's just not claiming that, but probably just a common last name. But he's a graduate of Cornell. Then you've got Stephen Stewart. He was a PhD student, apparently dropped out. Well, that's commemorable, because we know a lot of really intelligent people that in the tech space that didn't even complete their undergraduate degrees. So it's not really necessarily the paper that you bring to the table when it comes to success in technology and cryptocurrency. Here's something you guys could be on the lookout for. If you're a senior engineer and you want to throw yourself into the ring, your hat into the ring, these guys are hiring. So if you think that these could be your potential coworkers, feel free to jump in and join these guys. I mean, the more smart people we have out there in the space running projects like this, making the ICO and cryptocurrency market a better place for everybody, the better off we all are. So here's a little breakdown of how it works. Basically, they connect investors, developers, and create a transparent, scalable proof of audit. So the proof of audit means that you'd be able to see without any type of fraud of whether it's actually passed the audit system. And then they have multiple levels of audit of which they check for vulnerabilities. So we're past the ICO space, so we'll skip all that stuff. These guys have already gone and funded. You can take a look at their particular, so as far as transparency, you can take a look at their smart contract system for their tokens if you guys are interested. I didn't dive into it. On my level, I don't sit here and read it. I'm not able to really tell you what's different about theirs versus anybody else's, but you can see they originally had 1 billion token supply. They must have burned some because they're slightly below that at this point. And then they have admin allowance, crowd sale allowance, so on and so forth. So they really haven't put many more coins into circulation based on what we saw here, because there's 650 million coins that are meant to be crowd sale allowance. And if we take a look at their circulating supply listed here, they haven't even circulated all those. So basically, to me, what that means is that they have taken the coins that they didn't sell during their ICO and burned them, which looks like it's approximately 23 billion and some change. And then they've probably created some more due to mining or some other type of protocol that's taken place since they launched a couple months ago. So here's where I think these guys have a lot of long-term potential. Not just the fact that I believe in their product and that they're actually going to deliver on what they're bringing, but if we take a look right now, these guys are still in the very early phases, in the prototype phase, according to their roadmap of their product. So it hasn't even reached testing, and it hasn't reached production yet. So getting in on that, before they go big in 2018 and people see the long-term potential of this product, you can get in right now at around 17.5 cents. That price is obviously going to fluctuate due to interest, but don't look at getting into it for short term. Don't try to pump it up and then dump it down. Because there's probably not going to be a lot to gain in the real short term. And by that I mean in the next coming weeks. Don't try to day trade it. This isn't that type of advice. This to me is like bare minimum. If you guys want to get on some Quantstamp, I would be looking at picking it up for at least 3 months time. Like, buy it, set it, forget it, Ron Popeil style, and then just wake up one day 3 months later and say, I'm going to check my Quantstamp. Let's see what's going on. And I wouldn't even be surprised if it's still valued around 20 cents at that point, because I held on to Ripple when people were telling me to get off of it. And honestly, during the time I held Ripple for that long stretch, I could have put the money onto other things and gained or lost money, right? I didn't keep track of all my potential money I could have lost on my potential bad choices. But I held Ripple till the day basically till the day it boomed, until a couple days after, and then I felt happy ditching my Ripple at that point. But it took a long time. So that's kind of what I'm saying. With Quantstamp, I see a lot of similar potential, where I can see a lot of people in the cryptocurrency space wanting to get their stamp of approval and their audit process done on their tokens, not just for consumer confidence, but also for their own peace of mind to say, okay, look, just kind of like how HackerOne had set straight the Electroneum project. If Quantstamp comes in here and says, okay, we've evaluated your smart contracts, we've checked for all vulnerabilities, here's your list of things you need to go through in order to pass our securities audit, and then we'll give you the seal of approval, then you'll know that these guys end up becoming like the stamp of the authority, that quant stamp. They I don't know if quant stands for quantity, quantum, whatever, but don't get these guys confused with Qtum. There's some other cryptocurrencies out there with these Qs in their name. So Qtum is something totally different. It's also not quantum resistance ledger, which I've personally never heard of. It's not quantum. It's not quark. God, those guys have got to be on each other's butts right there. And Q Volta, that means like, just be aware. Get on there. It's QSP if you guys are looking at picking it up or doing some more research on it. Their website is quantstamp.com, real simple there. But the roadmap, so we're in that prototype phase, as I had mentioned. They're looking at growing the team here going into 2018, but they're also looking at moving into testing phases, and they're going to do reliability testing and performance testing, and then they're going to be working with the community to test out the product. So if you want to get involved in their upcoming test, I don't know what phase it's in, but you would be able to get involved at some point, and I don't know if that's after the April stake in the ground here on their roadmap or before, but that's why I say wait at least 3 months, because the closer we get to that April stake in the ground, the more speculation will start to come about that they will have something very valid coming along. So from April 2018 to April 2019 is when there's going to be a lot of development and information coming about, and you don't know when it's going to drop. So long-term investment, right? I always recommend, for my investment advice, to take a good chunk of your portfolio, put it in tried and trues, and then take a small chunk of your portfolio, put it in volatile stuff, just for the sake of potentially 10xing or 5xing gains. But you don't want to lose your money overnight. And this seems like one of those projects that you can get in, and sure, it might dip to 10 cents, it might dip to 12 cents, but it might go 25 cents, it might go $1. So who knows, but I can't make a prediction on what their market capital will be, but I can bet you, like if I were to place a bet, not saying I am, but if I were to place a bet, let's just say these guys get up to like Cardano level. Cardano, I ballpark at 10, but they're really almost at $11 billion. And if we take a look and backwards calculate that into what's going on with Quantstamp right now, so we'll just say $10 billion, because I feel like they have that potential. $10 billion would be 100 times what they're at right now, right? Because 10 would be 1 billion times another 10. So 10 billion to $11 billion would be 100 times the value of what they're at today. Keeping in mind that the team is holding on to about 1/3 of the tokens and may decide to sell those off at any time, which would create a little bit of dilution. So that means that there's still a potential that if they dumped all their coins in, it would dilute the supply by about 50%. I don't think they would do that. I can't speak on their behalf, but you just have to be aware anytime that we haven't reached the cap on circulating supply, just be aware, right? It could happen. But, if let's say they get to the $1 billion mark, you 10x your money, they're only at $1.70. We're not talking big time money here. It'd still be something worth picking up. Even at that, it would just obviously present a lot less of an opportunity for big time returns. So, don't quote me on the 100x, but just look at the potential of what could happen if this reaches the capital of Cardano. And this is the type of project that's going to do it, because these guys are going to be linking themselves up and embedding themselves into existing Ethereum tokens and other smart contracts, and they're going to be partnering with new and upcoming ones. And 2018 is already predicted to be a bigger year than 2017 in terms of ICOs. And that's, of course, barring any type of ruling from the SEC, who's actively looking into deciding whether these things are going to become securities, which means eventual regulation. So let's go ahead and close up their Twitter. If you want to take a look, they do have this is their white paper. It gives you a breakdown I'm not going to bore you by going through it. White papers are kind of a technical thing. Read through it, guys, because you want to make sure that you have some confidence in this before you're getting involved. I mean, they have already done a request network semi-automated audit. Request network's another one that Jeff's talked about lately. So they've already kind of gone through some of their timeline. Let's take a look at detailed. So January, we're talking like 3 days, 2-3 days from now. During the month of January, they're looking at building the validation node, so that's strong. February, add analysis software and proof of audit hash. Complete the 5th semi-automated audit using analysis software. Okay. March, begin testing and improvement of crypto economics incentives. So I think 90 days, right? Sometime in March, big news. You want to get in on it before the big news, or else you're going to be buying when it's too late. And that's, of course, assuming that these guys hold to their roadmap. But they have so far. Just be flexible with projects like this. So when we get asked all the time to check into some of these other tokens that may or may not be successful, there's a lot of hype with some of these new tokens coming on the market. These guys aren't necessarily new. They've been around a little bit, enough to say that they've kind of proven that they're there, that they're active and developing. They're hiring, so unlike some other teams that are losing developers, these guys are actually looking at growing their team. And the roadmap, when we go back to it, the roadmap also had a projected growth of required team members. So sometime in the middle of next year, they're going to need to add 5 more developers to it. So big time growth. It's kind of modest too, but they're going to double the size of their development team, their core team, over the course of next year. Comment below what you guys think. Do you guys even care that Quantstamp's going out there and trying to, be a security force and an auditing entity for smart contracts? Because I know for me, I get nervous sometimes leaving my money on exchanges and stuff, and I'd love to see the exchanges be put more to the test. Wallets, of course, could be sometimes more predictably safe than exchanges, but then you got to move money to your wallet. Then you got to move money back onto the exchanges. I'd rather just leave my money on the exchanges sometimes if I can help it. And other times once I realize I'm going to, hodl something, I'll put it back in my wallet, But if I'm going to take like the 3 or 4 coins that I might be holding on to for a week or speculating that, hey, they're, I saw a Twitter thing coming up, but there may not be anything taking place, I'll throw a couple $100 at something and see if I can potentially pick up some gains. If there's no gains in a few days, I'll get off it and get it back into Bitcoin or something else for longer term holdings. But comment below what you guys think. Is there any competition for these guys that we haven't really picked up on? We'll talk some more about some other projects out there, but we just love hearing from you guys. Also, first person to comment there, kudos to you. This is Steve from AltCoin Buzz signing off. You guys have a good night.